Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at the market overall, I suppose Bitcoin, but the market as a whole. And we're doing the live stream tonight, so at that point we'll look at lots of different altcoins, I'm sure. That's for Patreon members. Links in the description below. Right, let's get started. So basically this is the total market cap. Everything crypto is all in here. So what we see here in comparison to what we see here with Bitcoin is that actually the market, you know, even though they're both looking pretty, well, not bad, but, you know, they're broken down below the center of this Bollinger Band on the daily. So, I mean, it does lend itself to further, you know, downside. But the strength of the market, or should I say the picture of the market in general, is a lot healthier, or should I say more bullish than just Bitcoin alone. So normally we think about Bitcoin as dictating the market, which it does. So obviously if Bitcoin takes a pullback, the market generally pulls back. But you will have noticed that it's not that simple at the moment. We can see coins, you know, it's still the minority, but still, you know, some of these coins like Algorand, Quant, One, yeah, FET, there's a few of them that have just been pumping while the market's going down, and these aren't just small cap, you know, random pumps. You know, something like Algorand, it might not be a top cap, but it's still relatively big and it's pumped pretty hard. So there is money going into the market, or maybe it's just a rotation, but there is definitely something different going on than would normally be seen. So normally we think about Bitcoin as the leader of the pack, which it generally is to a large extent, but there are some anomalies going on right now, which makes me feel that, you know, we're not particularly as bearish as it might appear on the charts. Now I know that kind of goes against, you know, reading a chart, but sometimes you do have to fill in the gaps with some of the things that you see. So if we can bring it back to Bitcoin first of all, and what we're looking at here is Bitcoin on the daily, towards the bottom of the Bollinger Band, obviously below all major moving averages as well, which is not the best place to be. Turning down on the MACD quite dramatically, actually. No positive ticks yet. It doesn't mean that we can't get any, but at the moment there are none. This kind of dump obviously had a bit of bearish divergence, but it really wasn't. It wasn't that hardcore. So the dump itself might be, and like we were saying this, I suppose, several weeks back, that be prepared for a liquidity grab around the top area of this accumulation zone, which is around the $50,000 zone. So we got, you know, we were being, you know, lots of resistance there. We got our breakout, and then perhaps maybe that was the liquidity grab that we were waiting for, basically. So even though it caught a lot of people, including myself, particularly, you know, I suppose off guard, didn't really see the size of it coming, I had kind of expected to see it coming at some point, right? So this goes back to the same kind of deal that happened back down, where was it? Around about the 20,000, as we were heading towards the $20,000 zone last year, right? So nice big bull market, everything was going. This was like from September onwards last year, so just over a year, just short of a year ago. Bitcoin had its big breakout, and then we got close to our all-time high, just heading up to it, and then what we had was our liquidity grab, right? And this happened. This is a daily chart, so it happened very quickly. So one day 6%, the next day between the two of them just short of 19%. Then it pretty much got bought back up, V-shaped recovery, then a true consolidation, and then continuation all the way up to its actual peak. I would say that this was the actual peak, this zone here. I know it wasn't the peak, but it kind of was the peak based on a few reads, including the money flow index read. Anyway, without going into too many details, you know, that in my opinion was the peak, and then the rotation from Bitcoin and the pump of the altcoins then took profit into Bitcoin, causing the latter part of this peak, which was actually the peak. You can see the money flow index actually falling down dramatically since we reached that peak here. 1, 2, 3 tops basically caused, or should I say, signaled in a way by the money flow index on the weekly. So that was your peak, then the alt season, and then obviously the collapse. So I really don't see too much of an issue with the way that this is going on the weekly. We see that the RSI breakout is still okay, heading back down towards a more or less a completely neutral read is an okay place to be. Money flow index is still ticking up as well, so this shows all the signs of continuation to the up. Really don't have a problem with the way that this is, and actually with that liquidity grab video that we made about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, we shouldn't really be at all surprised about what we saw when that dropped. These things happen. They happened back last year, happened again this year. We were waiting for it, we got it, and now if you think about this in terms of what a weekly chart looks like, it's actually quite good. We're slowly turning up on this 20 weekly, and we got our support on the 21 EMA on the weekly as well. So all of this is quite bullish. We're above all major moving averages on the weekly, and we're turning up nicely on these oscillators too. Not a problem with that. The daily, however, like I say, it's battling to reclaim these moving averages. It might take a little while, to be honest. This going into a V-shaped recovery like it did in 2020, September 2020. Not quite the same vibe, but a similar kind of deal, basically, a similar deal. Now, if we bring it down a little bit further to a 4-hourly, what we see is that we are being rejected currently still on the on the 10 exponential. All these moving averages facing down. It is actually quite steep here now. So this green 50 exponential, if it were to head down in this direction at this kind of velocity, generally speaking, and we don't reclaim the 200 moving average, we're looking for a death cross between now and the 12th of September. So actually, in the next couple of days, perhaps over the weekend. Now, I think that might be a bit of a red herring. I often will tell people, don't play any kind of signal that you see happening. Only play any kind of signal that has happened. And death crosses and golden crosses aren't particularly signals, but they do suggest further continuation of the direction of the trend, which would be in this case down. But we don't have the signal yet, right? We don't have that set up. We don't have a death cross, but we would do maybe in the next 48 hours if we carry on at this price level. Now, if we pump and we reclaim this area to begin with, I mean, it really has to be above there, but we'll call it anywhere above 46,800, right? We should avoid that death cross, right? Ideally, we want to reclaim the 50 exponential. So we are really talking about 47,500. Reclaiming that level and staying above that level will avoid the death cross and actually would look very much like a potential bear trap, which like I say, I always prefer to look at weeklies. Weeklies tell the bigger picture, the grander scheme of things, and the weekly looks okay to me. Looks more than okay. Looks pretty good. The 4-hourly is suggesting that we might be on the verge of a further downside if we don't get above 47,500 ideally. So that's the deal on Bitcoin. But overall, the market is behaving kind of strange in its own way. Everything is not created equal in this market anymore, as we can see. And it doesn't. I've been looking into Algorand. I mean, I'm very pleasantly surprised. I hold quite a lot of Algorand, but I really don't understand why it pumped so much. Why it did what it did. And then there's other coins that are doing similar kind of things. I mean, the chart itself on the Satoshi pairings looked like it had bottoms. That's fine. But to have a reaction quite so aggressive as the one it did, I mean, it's very difficult for me to really explain it. I'm pleased with it, but it's hard to explain. And that's not a small pump. That was a big pump. A lot of money caused that pump, right? And so there are certain things going on in this market which are slightly different to the way that it's behaved before, and I think it does all overall lend me to believe that the concept of a rotation is likely to kick in. If we think about Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance, that we came down again, yet to touch this trend line here. This trend line is a multi-year really trend line. Where we found a really, really strong level of support, where we basically reversed all the way to the top there, before having a double top and breaking down all the way down here. This is 2018. This is 2020, going into 21. This is a lot of price action. This is a lot of history, and I am very cautious about not so much just generally being in altcoins, is the altcoins that I'm in from such low levels that I'm sure that even if Bitcoin breaks out and takes some Satoshis away from those things, I'm okay to hold them because they're in such low levels. But buying into altcoins down at these levels, it does add more risk than it would do normally, because this would suggest down here, and again, it doesn't mean that this is the area where it would bounce from. The lowest points are down here. We've got plenty of room to move down and break down if we wanted to. But if we didn't, we've got more room to move up. So a rotation at this level would be, I'll say it, kind of expected based upon supports and how it's reacted in the past. Big reaction here. This is the dump. We had a decent reaction from it here, and we've come down to test it again today. Now, breaking down from here, the market will go crazy, absolutely crazy. Alts will be going crazy all over the place, breaking down from this level. And obviously, we could also talk about it breaking down from this level here, 36% dominant. If that breaks down, oh my God, you can only imagine what would happen at that stage. But there will be a rotation at some point, and like I say, the lower we go, the more aggressive that rotation will be for alts going back into Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist by any means. You know, I pretty much trade altcoins for the vast majority of the time, but at the moment, I'm taking profit into Bitcoin all the time, because the lower we go, the more likely we are to get a decent bounce on this chart, and that would mean a very decent move for Bitcoin inevitably. So I just do not want to end the bull run back in the wrong horse, so like I said, I'm taking lots of profit into Bitcoin. But overall, the market looks quite good to me. I'm not particularly afraid. Yeah, we've got a bit of a problem on the 4-hourly, but reclaiming these zones, which isn't a great deal from where we are right now, shouldn't be too much to ask. But every day there, or should I say every hour or every 4 hours we spend below the 200 exponential does run the risk of that death cross. So we'll just keep our eyes peeled on the 4-hourly, but I'm not particularly worried at this stage. And even if it did break down from here, I would say a breakdown to about 41,000 is probably the most likely place to catch a bounce. We've got the 200 exponential down here. We've also got this very strong level of support and resistance here. So we've got rejected from us here and rejections here. I would expect that this area would be the main area of support between 40 and 41,000, and maybe that would be the springboard that causes the V-shaped recovery and then some. So overall, grand scheme, if you're a hodler, especially for Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. I really don't see a problem with this. I know the small term time frames are what people like to tweet about, but if you're like me and look to the longer term time frames, like the weeklies, everything seems fine. And I can understand why people tweet things on an hourly or 15-minute basis. They're looking for the likes. But for me, tweeting once a week, it's not gonna do my Twitter feed much to go by. But if I were to tweet once a week, I would tweet saying everything looks pretty good to me for a long-term continuation, ending the year and probably going into next year with new all-time highs. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. But thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day and take it easy.